48 hours after my divorce, the last person I expected, a young Latina woman with dark hair, showed up at my door.
I never imagined that walking out of my own home, my marriage, could feel so strangely weightless. My name is Lucas Harper, and just a few days ago I signed the papers that ended 13 years of shared life with Mia Bennett. 13 years of late-night whispers, burnt Sunday pancakes, and promises whispered in the dark, all dissolved in the unfeeling ink scrawled across a courthouse document. That afternoon, Mia smiled, not politely, not sadly, genuinely, as if the release of our marriage had untethered some burden she carried for far too long. She laughed with a layer, tucked her hair behind her ear, and shone with a light I hadn't seen in years. I just nodded, wished her well, and stepped outside into the cool evening air, expecting heartbreak, fury, regret something. But all I felt was a hollow calm, an emptiness that was strangely peaceful. When I returned to my quiet apartment on the edge of town, the roads no longer felt suffocating. The lights blinked, cars hummed, and the world continued forward as though it had been waiting for me to catch up. Inside, I made tea, sat by the window, and let the lavender scent of my new life settle around me. The love we once had hadn't died loudly, it had simply faded, quietly, like a photograph left too long in the sun. And for the first time in years, I belonged to my own time. 2 days passed in silence. No message from Mia, not that I expected one. Then, one evening, the doorbell chimed. I almost ignored it. I rarely have visitors. But when I opened the door, the sight before me made my breath stall. Leah Bennett, Mia's younger sister, stood there with a small tote bag, her usual cheerful smile flickering uncertainly. "Lucas?" she said softly. Before I could answer, she stepped inside, eyes wide with something that looked dangerously close to fear. Leah and I had always gotten along, but our bond was shaped by polite family dinners, not unannounced visits after a divorce. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice trembling. I frowned. I'm fine. Do you want something to drink?" She shook her head quickly. "No, I needed to see you." Tension clung to her words. Something unspoken twisted behind her eyes. She sat down, hands clasped, and I felt my heartbeat shift, sensing the weight of what was coming. "Leah," I said gently, "what's going on?" Her voice softened, almost a whisper. "Mia, she's not happy, Lucas, not like she seemed." The words stirred the stillness inside me. "But she smiled," I said slowly. "She seemed relieved. She was smiling for you," Leah replied. "But underneath it, she's scared. She doesn't know how to be free yet." Her confession cracked something in me, something I had numbed on purpose. For 48 hours, I had convinced myself that Mia's happiness no longer mattered. Yet here was the truth, arriving at my doorstep on the lips of her sister. And suddenly the story I thought had ended began to turn another page. Leah's expression was haunted. "I came because you're the only one she listened to," she said quietly. The statement hit harder than I expected. "Why tell me this?" "Because I can't watch her fall apart," she whispered. "She thinks she wanted this freedom, but she needs perspective. And you're the only person who can give it to her." Her sincerity was too raw to dismiss. Memories unspooled late conversations with Mia, whispered apologies, the gentle way she used to laugh before life hardened her edges. "I don't know if I can help," I murmured. "You don't have to fix anything," Leah said softly. "Just talk, listen, talk, listen." Such simple words, simple enough to rebuild something we had spent years breaking. I exhaled slowly. "All right, tell me everything." No filters, and she told me, Mia's nights filled with anxious pacing, the restless mornings, the silence she feared in her own apartment, the moments she doubted her decision, moments she swallowed before anyone could see. The more Leah spoke, the more the version of Mia I believed in unraveled. She hadn't been happy. She had been terrified, lost, uncertain. When Leah finally fell quiet, my chest felt weighted with clarity. "I need to see her," I said at last. "She wants to see you too," Leah whispered. "She just doesn't know how to say it." Driving to Mia's apartment felt surreal. The city lights blurred past in streaks of gold and silver. My heart hammered with every familiar street corner, every memory tied to broken conversations and lost hopes. When I reached her building, I paused before the door, hand raised, uncertain. Before I could knock, it opened. Mia stood there, framed by warm lamplight, looking smaller than I had ever seen her. Not diminished, vulnerable. "Lucas," she breathed. "Hi, Mia," I said softly. "Can we talk?" She nodded. The apartment smelled faintly of vanilla and old books, so achingly familiar it made my chest tighten. We sat across from each other, silence stretching like a fragile thread. Finally, Mia spoke. "I thought I wanted this divorce," she whispered, twisting the edge of her sleeve. "But I didn't realize how alone I'd feel, how much I'd miss U.S." Her voice trembled, the confession falling between us like an open wound. "Freedom isn't happiness," she said quietly. "Freedom just means you're forced to face yourself." The honesty in her words cut deeper than any argument we had ever had. "Mia," I murmured, "I hear you, I understand, and we'll figure this out. One step at a time." Relief flickered across her face, mingled with uncertainty, regret, and a fragile hope. "Thank you, Lucas," she whispered. The silence between us softened, filled not with distance but with possibility. Something new, something fragile, something real. The night settled around us as we talked slowly, quietly, honestly for the first time in years. There were no accusations, no resentment, no attempt to rewrite the past. Only truth. And truth, spoken gently, has a way of stitching wounds without either person noticing the thread. I didn't know where we were heading, not back to the old us, not quite into something new, but we were no longer walking alone. When I finally rose to leave, Mia stood with me. "Lucas," she said softly, "whatever happens next, I want to face it honestly." I nodded. Outside, the city hummed its nighttime lullaby. Leia's words lingered in my mind. Sometimes the most unexpected visits are the ones that lead us back to what matters most. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt something like hope. A fragile hope, but hope all the same.